I almost had Max, so I had him into turn one, just not turn two. But he was not going to give it up easy, so I didn't. I fought, but yeah, I didn't want to take myself out of the race either. So it was a great race. The pace was very strong.
McLaren has scored its first double podium of the year, proving what seems to be quite a turnaround in their fortunes in 2023. But it seems like the Woking-based squad is not expecting to stop here. From a car that was not able to score points to the second best team on the grid, McLaren has come a really long way. But after their latest statement in Suzuka, the team has revealed their plans for the foreseeable future. And while many doubted them in the beginning, it seems like we're going to see a lot more from Norris and Piastri in the times to come. So how did McLaren manage to suddenly become all competitive in Suzuka again after their small slump of performance? And what's the strong message that Norris sent to Red Bull? Why don't you stick around until the end of this video to find out? McLaren has had a disastrous start to the 2023 season, and when I say disastrous, I really mean it. Both of their drivers failed to score points after they started P11 and P18 in the first race in Bahrain, with Piastri DNFing and Norris being the only driver who was 2 laps behind the race leader. Nonetheless, the issues with the hydraulics as well as different reliability issues are what kept the MCL60 out of its optimal performance window, which, to be honest, is something that they had predicted before the season even started, hence the lower expectations of the Woking-based squad. However, a couple of upgrades were brought in Baku that pushed the team in a solid direction, and that was taken to the next level in Austria and Silverstone, the races that saw the MCL60 finally scoring podiums and even being in the race lead for a short period of time. Spa was the race in which Oscar Piastri almost received his maiden pole position for the sprint race, where he was just 11 hundredths of a second behind Verstappen, and for a brief period we saw a battle between those two. Nonetheless, in the span of 4 races, McLaren was able to gather an amazing 86 points and be more or less the second fastest team on the grid. While their form started to drop in the second half of the season, Norris back-to-back P2 finishes in Singapore and Suzuka, as well as Piastri's massive comeback race in Singapore, where he managed to finish P7 after starting P17, topped off with his maiden podium finish here in Suzuka in P3, saw McLaren as one of the main favourites to challenge Red Bull for the foreseeable future. One of the reasons why is that McLaren understood what needs to be done. Just look at the best team, understand what they're doing, and obviously try to do that on your own car. But in the past, we've seen that that doesn't actually quite work for the trying teams, which is why McLaren has iterated Red Bull's car projections onto their own, and that's essentially what brought them the massive success they have right now. Not many fans or experts saw McLaren fighting for race wins and podiums in 2023, and their initial projections were that the team would struggle to build the car that they have right now until 2025. Not only did McLaren prove everybody wrong, but they're now on the high horse and believe that they could be challenging Verstappen and Red Bull for race wins much sooner than anticipated. This comes at a time when Oscar Piastri has extended his contract with McLaren until 2026 in his rookie season, while Norris is also expected to sign an extension in the upcoming months, even though he's vastly connected with teams like Red Bull and Ferrari. But what was so special about Suzuka that McLaren managed to use it in their own favour, and how did they manage to keep everybody not named Max Verstappen so steadily behind? If there is one strength that the MCL60 has that it can definitely box in the same ring with Mercedes, it's the high-speed corner agility and stability of the car. They are extremely fast on tracks like Silverstone and Suzuka, mostly because they're made of high-speed corners, and this was the main reason why Hamilton and Russell were nowhere near passing them on the home GP a couple of months ago, even though the safety car restart allowed the Silver Arrows to attack in a much closer manner with much fresher tyres. This time in Suzuka, they were far away from the Woking squad's pace, and it does seem like this is probably the scenario we're going to look forward to in the upcoming months. But with such difficult and strict technical and financial regulations, is there something that McLaren can do in order to catch up to Red Bull before 2026, or are these promises laid on deaf ears among the F1 fans? Norris was the first to have lifted the hopes up for not just his team's fans, but the entire F1 fan base, as the last thing we would want to see now is a one-driver dominated era that could go on to last forever. When talking about the outcome of the Suzuka GP, one that saw his team sneak up on the 4th spot in the Constructors' Championship, Norris went on to elaborate, "Another amazing day for us, P2 and P3, so we couldn't have asked for any more. The team did an amazing job. My start was very good. I almost had Max, but Max is Max as well. I didn't have a lot of chance in turn 2, but I tried. The pace was extremely strong today compared to everyone, and I mean, we're not close to Max, but we're not miles away either, so it was a very good day. I'm very happy also for Oscar, his first podium in Formula 1, so congratulations to him." Needless to say, the reporters were eager to find out where McLaren currently stands compared to Red Bull and whether or not we'll see one of the drivers pass the checkered flag in the remainder of the season, to which Norris remained highly optimistic as he said, "We're pushing, we're getting there. The progress we've made is pretty outstanding. Like I said, I'm very proud of the team and the steps forward we're making every weekend. I'm sure there's going to be some tough times to come, but we're getting there step by step, and our first podium together with Oscar, so yeah, a good moment for us." What McLaren has recently found is that they can bet heavily on Oscar Piastri, who, although had a very strong finish in P3, still feels like he could have had a much better race and lamented the entire weekend as something that his team could learn a thing or two from, apart from celebrating the huge chunk of points they've gathered from it. In times where you could hardly make it to Formula 1, even with lots of experience, Oscar Piastri has decided to abandon a guaranteed seat in Alpine and join McLaren in a move that was vastly laughed at by the F1 experts and fans. But not many saw what Oscar did in Papaya Nation, and now he's proving everybody wrong. When talking about the race, Oscar was very much self-criticizing for losing the starting position to his teammate Norris, which was more or less an inevitable scenario, as he had to lift off the gas pedal entering turn 1, allowing Norris to overtake him from the outside. And the Aussie went on to say, "It feels pretty special, first podium. Definitely something I'll remember for a very, very long time. There's not many people in the world who get this opportunity in their whole life, and I've managed to have it in my first season, so thank you very much to the team. Wasn't my best race ever, but it was enough to get a trophy at the end, so super happy. I'm very, very happy and excited to try and get some more." McLaren has a sole mission in 2023 to be better than Alpine, and while nobody expected Aston Martin to make the leap they did in this current campaign, their drop-off has been massive, and this is something that the Woking-based squad is currently using in their own favour. As of now, the difference between P4 and P5 in the Constructors' Championship stands at only 49 points, and considering how strong McLaren are weekend after weekend, I don't think this is too far-fetched of a goal for them. Furthermore, the drivers' standings are also improving a lot, as Lando Norris is now only 20 points behind Leclerc for the 6th point in the championship and 35 behind Sainz for the 5th one, making it even more interesting of a fight for the remainder of the 6 races on the calendar. One thing is for sure, McLaren is not giving up, and with the recent comments from Mercedes that they need to actually copy their customer company in terms of catching up to them much quicker, we can only hope that this means 2024 won't be as boring and monotonous as 2023. Do you think that McLaren is a proper threat for Red Bull next year in 2024? Let us know in the comments below.